Hey everybody, this presentation is going to be Dark Waters. It's a movie review kind of slash legal review of a movie provided to us by Christina. It's more on the drama side, so it was pretty entertaining. Not to mention it has Mark Ruffalo in it, so he's one of my favorite actors. So let's get to it. Dark Waters is about a corporate attorney. He's a defense attorney, and he mainly defends these huge chemical companies. So he's mastered like the chemistry aspect of it. He knows, the framework of the Safe Drinking Water Act, the Clean Air Act, the Toxic Substance Control Act. So he is in the know of all this um, legal knowledge of how to defend these huge corporate chemical companies. He's then approached by a former or an acquaintance of his grandmother. So he is approached by him. He tells him, "Hey, this company DuPont purchased some land near my farm, and ever since that purchase, 150 of my cows have died. You know, and it nobody's giving me any answers, so I want to find out more. I want to know what happened to my cows. Why are they dying? I want to know what is going on. I've talked to veterinarians, I've talked to the police authorities, and nobody's giving me any answers. So he decides to um, start with the investigation. He takes on the case. He's a little bit hesitant, so he kind of tells him like, "Hey, you know what? I'm not that type of attorney. I'm more of a defense attorney. I defend all these companies. I don't really do one-on-one cases." So he's a little bit hesitant about it. He is then like persuaded because he gets all these tapes and information, and he kind of starts thinking about the little guy. So he's persuaded into taking the legal matter, and then he decides to sue, DuPont. DuPont is this huge chemical company. It's like it employs like 90% of the community. So there's like a little bit of retaliation going against him and Tennant. So they see some of friction going on, but he does end up suing them. They do end up coming into a settlement where he's kind of like he gets all this information, gets it through legal discovery, and he finds out that this chemical C8 has gone into the stream, from the landfill. And C8 is not regulated by the APA, so it's not a red flag that the APA can show, or that a red flag is coming on everywhere. Um, so he comes to Tennant and tells him like, "Hey, we can settle things. We can prove that this chemical did spill into your land, and it might have caused damages to your cows, or the death of your cows. So we need to settle." And at that point, Tennant kind of just tells him, "No, I don't want to settle. It's not about the money. It's about the big corporation. I want everybody to know what they're doing. I want them to see what is happening because of their non-compliance, or the ethics behind them dumping all these chemicals without notifying the EPA." You know, Robert in that point, he kind of like doesn't want to go through it. He's like, "Why? What's the like? Why would you want to do that? It's just wasted manpower, wasted resources. You should just settle." And then at that point, Tennant tells him like, "Hey, I got cancer, and it's because of this water system. All these things that happen to my cows I'm getting all those symptoms." So they end up finding that he has cancer, so he wants to fight it. So they reject the settlement. Uh, then do they start suing DuPont? They take him to civil court, and it comes out to where, yes, see, the PFOA synthetic, they contaminate the streams, and not only the streams started getting into the water supply of the company, or the community actually. Um, but they get a legal representative saying how it's non toxic in the amount that it contaminated the water. So it's more of a, yes, it's in there, but it's safe. It's not toxic. It's not dangerous for you guys to consume it. At that point, they they broadcast this, they share this with the community, they put it on the news, they hear about it in court, and it becomes to where all these people started coming to Robert and telling him like, hey, um, my husband died through cancer. He got cancer and he worked at DuPont, and they always gave all these employees like cigarettes, or they gave them goodies, and it kind of like hush money so they wouldn't say anything. And my husband died because of cancer, and all these people started coming out. So it became to where they rejected the settlement on the one-on-one case, and it became a class action lawsuit. So they found out that this PFOA is a man-made synthetic, and it's not regulated by the EPA. So it's been used in like pots and pans as Teflon. It was used back in the day. It was used for just the military, so it would cover the army tanks for water protection, and all this good stuff. And it's now in your everyday household items. And not only is it in your everyday household items, it's leaked into your water system. Um, and at that point, they decide to sue the company. They do this huge class action lawsuit where DuPont decides to make an agreement. So DuPont goes and says like, hey, I'll settle if you can prove that my chemical or this chemical um, actually caused all these damages to the people. My researchers say it doesn't cause this harm, so now you have to prove, you know, that it actually caused these harms. And they settle with the EPA. They pay like 16.5 million to the EPA in a settlement, but they're not paying individual people for it. So at that point, 70,000 people come out and they decide to donate to the study. So Robert starts paying these people for their blood, or the community for their blood, just so they can, get them in a peace of mind to see if it's in their system. Did it cause any damages to them? Are their kids fine? Are there, um, any future events that may happen? It was it caused because of this chemical. So it's kind of like more of a peace of mind. Not only that, he starts paying them, $400 per sample. Again, for them to research all this information is going to take years. So it took years. It took them about 7 years before they found out that this chemical did in fact cause this cancer, or did in fact cause these defects, and they were on the verge of proving it when DuPont pulls off the agreement. So they kind of just say like, no, you know what? If you really want to come after us, you're gonna have to come after us one case at a time, which is like, it was like, thousands of people, so it would take them, years for them to finish. So by the year of 20, I believe it was 2830 or something like that, they would have, or 2089, they would have finished with the settlement cases. So Billet doesn't back down. He um, he takes on DuPont. He takes him on at one case at a time, and he wins his first three cases. So he wins, multi-million dollar settlements, and at the end, DuPont kind of backs off. So he backs off, or the company backs off, and settles for 671 million, um, which now goes to paying all these damages to all these people. Um, a little bit of the legal aspect of it is the tenant case. So without this person, it wouldn't have become a class action lawsuit. If he would, or maybe it would have, I don't know. But during this movie, he rejects, his settlement. He wants to pursue investigation, so and because of this, he now all these people are benefiting from it. So it does become a class action lawsuit. And discoveries prove, or the discovery process proves, that this chemical is present in the water system. Tenant rejects the settlement, and then unfortunately Tenant dies of cancer before he can see the company actually settling and coming out to light. the settlement, they settle with the EPA. So I found out that not only do they have to settle with the people, they also have to settle with the EPA, which is something that very interesting, that I had no idea that would happen. I thought if you sue someone, you know you benefit from it, not you know other organizations that look into this stuff. But it, um, 235 million of medical monitoring, so they not only get um, the settlement, they also get future healthcare monitoring. So if anything comes up because of it, they are completely covered through healthcare that the company will pay. And then total settlement of 671 million to the community of Ohio and West Virginia. Anybody who was employed through DuPont who used that Teflon flu sort of thing. Um, Legal timeline of it, tenant sues a civil case through DuPont. Tenant rejects the settlement. Um, it becomes a class action lawsuit. The APA settles. DuPont abandons the agreement through the settlement through the class action lawsuit. And Bellin takes on individual cases and wins, costing a settlement from DuPont. Legal aspect of it, it kind of just reminds me of, or puts me in perspective to the legal system, where it can actually be um, benefiting to the individual. If you don't have deep pockets or deep resources, you might not actually win your cases. So it kind of just shows corporate greed and how money works, or how the legal system shows, at least to my knowledge, a presentation, or a way of going around the legal system. So the more money you have, the more I can get away with, in a sense. It does show you that the legal system, yes, you might request some information from me, but I can send you all the information I want. So I can hide, or I can, put power you with truckloads of discovery, and it'll be up to you if you want to put the manpower in it to go through all this information. And it might be benefiting to to the company, or to whoever's selling all these truckloads of information. And you can take it to a judge and say that, hey, they send me truckloads of info, and it's all legal discovery, so it all benefits the case. So they can't reject it, or they can't, attorneys can't say, like, I only need this paper, you only have to send me this paper. The company is never going to do that. And the legal system, defends that aspect of it, because it's all important, not just that one paper. Everything's important. It also shows me that it does take time to go to trial. So this settlement, it took 11 years for them to finally work out everything. It took them 7 years to get the research, or find out that the synthetic actually caused them harm, and it took them 11 years total for them to get that total settlement of 671 million. Um, so it does show you kind of a legal aspect of it, of everything. It also kind of just, there's one part that always brings up to me, where Robert, or Mark Ruffalo, he is in his car. He just finished questioning the CEO, and he goes into his car, where how the legal system couldn't um, protect them. So DuPont was this huge, or is this huge billion-dollar company, and this huge employer of this community, and it kind of shows where they can pay anybody to take out the target. You know what I mean? So he's in his car, and he's being, he's walking to his car. It looks like he's being followed. He sees a silhouette of a person, and at this point, he gets in his car, locks it, and before he turns it on, he kind of thinks, like, should I turn this car on? Is this car going to blow up? Is this car going to explode? So it does show you that aspect, where the little guy can sometimes be intimidated by this huge entity. But yeah, so again, I recommend this movie. It's pretty interesting. Mark Ruffalo, fantastic actor, and the legal aspect of it, I think it plays a good factor. It shows you how the legal system, or the legal review system might work. It gives you a timeline, and it shows you that it definitely does take time to win something as huge, and you definitely want to put the manpower into it, and in which cases, and this sort of case, it did benefit all these you know people. All right, guys. Well, that's about it for me. If you guys have any other questions or concerns, feel free to email me or reply.